welcome back to Four Guys Talking Sports. My name is Luke Legrano.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Axel.
And I'm Lawrence Legrano.
Gentlemen, nice to have you back. We're doing something new here on the channel, and I think that's pretty exciting. You guys ready?
Born ready.
Oh,
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so we've been talking about this idea for weeks, if not months now. Debate episodes. Yep, we're going to stick to one topic instead of doing our normal news show. We're going to have some opening remarks. We'll each get a minute or two to argue our points, and then we'll go back into our crazy selves that you've seen and you've grown to love. And the episode topic today we have for you, the best team of the 2010s. We've talked a little bit about it before, but we're ready to dive in, delve deep, and give it our all. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Is there?
I got more than my all, Luke.
Yeah, Lawrence, I think that's
10%.
Lawrence, opening remarks.
Opening remarks. Okay, well, we haven't picked a team yet, so I'm going to be the first one to do that very clearly. And I'm going to go with Ryan's favorite team, the New England Patriots. And I absolutely hate myself for saying this right now, but I do believe that the New England Patriots were the best team from 2010 to 2020. I think it's pretty obvious. Very interested to hear what you guys have to say. They've made the playoffs literally every year that decade. Pretty tough to beat. They got 3 Super Bowls to top it off. They probably deserve a few more, but that's neither here nor there. And I'm not going to stroke Ryan's ego any more than he already does himself. And so that I think was a minute. It could have been a little shorter, but here I am buying time in my opening remarks. And I'm going to kick it over to someone else who thinks that there's even a different answer to this. Thank you.
Before I give my answer, Ryan, do you want to just tackle on there? I'm sure your answer is the same. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how it is possible to pick any team that isn't the Patriots. They made it to the playoffs every year the last 10 years. They had a winning record every year the last 10 years. They went to a conference championship almost. Super Bowl, conference, Super Bowl, conference, Super Bowl is a stretch in there. They were the top 4 teams in the league the whole time. All they did was win. I don't see how there's any team that isn't them as the most dominant team of the decade.
Agreed.
David, I don't know how you're going to lean, David, but I'm going to naturally switch it up because I'll never support the Patriots as long as I live. And the Patriots are a great dynasty. I think there's an answer for every sport of the big 4 sports, but the Patriots did not change the game of football, maybe other than the way we look at cheating. There is one team that did change their sport, though. It was the Golden State Warriors. Basketball was one way, and then Steph Curry came, and then it was another. The point guard position has never meant so much since the Warriors dynasty began back in 2015. They've absolutely dominated the West, which is incredibly hard to do in the NBA. And not only that, they changed the makeup of your team and what it needed to look like for you to compete. You needed at least 3 All-Stars if you wanted to compete with the Golden State Warriors. You don't need half your team or 25% of your team on the Patriots to dominate the league. You needed that to even sniff competition with the Warriors. So they're my answer. And David, I'll kick it on over to you.
Yeah, I want to come on that side of the fence with you, Luke, with the Golden State Warriors. I don't see how you guys could really not at least consider the Warriors. Like you're saying, the past are the only choice. I mean, these are the only 2 choices. I don't really see any other teams that have had this much success in any sport across these past 10 years. And yeah, the first 3 years, they did look a little crummy, 3 losing records. But starting in 2013, they have had a winning record since up until this season. But we're in 2020, so that's neither here nor there. So winning record for the last 7 years of the decade. And if you put in their regular season record over the last 6 years of the decade, they had a 750 winning percentage, which is absolutely absurd. I don't off the top of my head know the Patriots' winning percentage, but I'd imagine it's around the same. But in a sport with only 16 games a season, a sport with 82 games a season, I think there's a little bit of a distance there, a little bit of a dichotomy. On top of setting the all-time record for the most wins in their sport, 2 MVPs, regular season MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, of course, which comes along with winning 3 championships and being in 5 straight NBA Finals. That hasn't happened since 1957, which my parents weren't around for. I'm not sure if your parents were, but
just Mr. Lograno, that's all. Just Mr. Lograno. All right, so there, we've laid the foundation. Rebuttal, gentlemen?
What happens to the first 5 years? They're irrelevant? The Patriots were never irrelevant. Ever. They were never relevant.
They were in the playoffs for 2 of those first 5. They just weren't in the finals. Yeah, so in 2013, they won a playoff series against the Nuggets and then lost to the Spurs in 6. And then in 14, lost in the first round in 7 to the Clippers, the Blake Griffin, Chris Paul Clippers.
And that's when they fired.
And then went to 5 straight finals. Missed it in 10, 11, and 12.
So they were a first-round knockout, missed it twice, and was a second-round knockout in the first 5 years that you just want to ignore.
Missed it 3 times, made it twice. Yeah.
Whereas the Patriots were in the Super Bowl in 2011 and then won the Super Bowl in 2018. So if we're arguing a 10-year span and we're just going to negate the fact that for the first 5 years the Warriors weren't dominant, I don't know how that you could just say the
because they were so much more dominant in the time that they were dominant that it pales in comparison. The Pats were also a first-round knockout a couple of those years too, if you'll remember. I'm sure you remember watching those games.
I'll also bring up to David's point. Yeah, you don't make the playoffs every year, and the Patriots do. But like David said, they were so dominant in a league and in a conference where it's so hard to be dominant. No offense to the Jets and the Bills and the Dolphins, but it's the weakest division in football. And the Patriots win it every year, so they immediately get a walk to the playoffs. The Warriors had to scratch and claw in a league with some of the best athletes all on the West. You have LeBron on the East, and he can chill there. But that doesn't make it any easier for the Warriors to climb that ladder and make it to the top and stay there, as well as go for the record of the most wins in league history. How hard that is? We thought coming into this year, we've talked on this podcast, how we thought the Bucks and the Lakers both had a shot at breaking that record, and they're both already done. And you still got 25% of the season to go.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of the year, I was like, there's no shot they even touched that record. It was some crazy stuff. But yeah, no, I'm going to echo Luke's point there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are just too many dominant figures that have been on the Patriots over the last 10 years to really not call them the team of the decade because the Warriors had a truly unbelievable 5. I mean, they went to 8 straight conference championship games. They also, have the best quarterback and coach of all time, and we could spend some time literally just talking about how influential those two are to the game of football. If you're going to bring up how Steph changed the game, this is one of the most powerful relationships in sports history, let alone football, let alone these past 10 years when they've been so wildly successful. Brady, Offensive Player of the Year, MVP, right? Belichick, Coach of the Year. They have these honors, and they even have a Defensive Player of the Year. Is it Stephon Gilmore just won this year? Right. So there are accolades, and they're spread out, and it's from a bunch of different people. So they've just been so good the last 10 years that I think the argument of the entire decade versus the most dominant dynasty, which you could call it, because 2015 to 2019 in the NBA was the Golden State dynasty, but we're talking about 2010 to 2020, in which the Patriots were a dynasty. So that's where I'm at with it.
Lawrence, I want to bring up a point you said. We could talk about how Curry relates to Brady and how Brady had such an impact on his team. And yeah, Belichick does a great job bringing in guys like Garoppolo and Brissett to still do amazing things. But Brady's flawed, and we know Brady's flawed because he loses games all the time. He is responsible on the opposite ends of scandals. And I'm going to run a quick stat by you. I want you to guess how many games the Golden State Warriors have lost with Steph Curry in the lineup since his career started. Take a guess.
Dear God, that's there's 82 games in a basketball season, though, Luke.
Yeah, take a stab.
Can you say the question one more time?
When was he a rookie?
See, 2013, David? You want to back me up on that, or?
That was probably 12, around then. I remember using him in 2K12, and I think he was a rookie then.
150.
There you go. 15. 15 games that Steph Curry's played and lost as of the start of last year.
Are you sure those aren't playoff games?
They won 244. So this is the span of the dynasty. The 2015 to 2019 dynasty.
Oh, so you're just looking at that stretch. Okay.
I'm looking at the dynasty numbers. They lost 15 games with Curry. And how many games they won and lost without him in the lineup? 21-18 is their record. Steph Curry came in and changed the position that point guard meant. Big men are gone. The big men, Shaquille O'Neal, one of the greatest players to ever play the sport of basketball, would have a really tough time in this league right now just because the game is so different. And Steph Curry started that.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback on that, Shaq can't shoot threes. Shaq can't shoot at all, really. And you see the struggles that a guy like Ben Simmons is having with his shooting issues and all the, haziness that's going on in Philadelphia with trusting their process that should be over by now. Fundamentally, the NBA is a three-point ball game now. Even centers. You get Zach Randolph's going out there shooting threes off the side. And he's the guy that, he asked me 5 years ago, I never would have thought that he'd be able to shoot more than a 10-foot jump shot. So it's evolving to the point that Blake Griffin and Anthony Davis have now evolved this three-point shot solely to compete with the players that were influenced by this type of play. They literally got the analytics together and said, if we make this many threes in the game, it'll be worth more than just trying to hit twos like you should do traditionally in basketball. And they drafted the guys that would do it, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, even Draymond Green, and it worked out. It was so much to the point that the sixth man on the team was able to win Finals MVP because of how good he was at shooting three-pointers, to show how deep this team was. That was before Kevin Durant came in, too.
Yeah, I'll also throw this out. I also forgot to throw this in. No team in the NBA has won more games in a 5-year span than the Warriors between 14 and 19.
Well, no, hold on. Well, no team in the NFL has a better win percentage in the last 10 years. The Patriots' winning percentage in the last 10 years is 781. 781. So you did those two cancel each other out completely.
Okay,
and
that's
again,
fine.
And we have a 10-year period, and you have a 5.
Thank you. You just hit my point.
30%
that winning
of those
percentage
wins
is sustained over a 10-year period, the entire 10-year period that we are talking about. So you have a smaller sample size, and you have a worse stat.
Thank you. Look at Ryan. Go math.
Yeah, David, I think you were trying to say how many of those wins came against the losing records in their own division?
Right. When you look at the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills, just eyeballing it, I would say 30% of those wins were against that. Maybe it's more like 20, 25.
How many times do you play the Kings a year? We going there?
If you're the Warriors, it should only be 3. Right?
Out of 82 games.
Yeah, because you got to play the entire other side, home and away. So that's 30. Now, your division, you play double, I think, when you play everyone else. Your division should be 5 or 6. And the rest of the conference should be 3 or 4.
Yeah, and it doesn't make up to the math here. 60. It doesn't make up.
Percentage-wise, is not comparable.
Yeah.
Well, it's because 82 games. And
that is just the nature of football and basketball, of course, though, right? So, I don't
know. I just, to me, it makes no sense because you're arguing who is the best team for 10 years, and your team was obsolete for half of it.
We're trying, and that's how good they were.
Yeah, I don't buy it. People are sick of the Pats, dude. Like, it's been
people weren't sick. You're telling me people didn't stop watching basketball because of the Warriors? You're trying to tell me that didn't happen?
No, I can't say that. But sort of. It did kind of drop off at the end there because of how boring it was, let's be honest. The regular season was a moot point.
Exactly.
Well, the Warriors' regular season was more to see if they'll break the record and see how many wins they can stack up. And it was really, for the Patriots, I guess both sides really a fantasy sports competition. I think a little more so in basketball because the Patriots didn't put up big numbers. Something, though, that I think we're overlooking and overshadowing is that in every one of the championships the Warriors won, they had to defeat the player that I at least believe is the best player of all time in their sport as a group. The Patriots did not have that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Adversity to face because they did have the best player on their team.
You're going to tell me that the Atlanta Falcons comeback in this year of dominance wasn't any adversity?
I'm saying facing LeBron James 5 times is not the type of adversity that the Patriots faced.
Well, but like, how would you if you were arguing LeBron, how would you stack up Steph Curry then? I feel like that argument's ridiculous.
Tell them why. Steph Curry's the best shooter of all time, but LeBron James is maybe not of all time. Ray Allen's up there, but LeBron James, I think, is, unless you're going to bring in MJ, which is not a debate today, but those two are the only two you can think of, and I'm partial to the LeBron side, not because of this argument. That's something you guys know I've backed for a while.
Oh yeah,
he's a guy that just wins games on his own.
And regardless of how I feel about LeBron and his current state as the greatest player in NBA history and how much I agree or disagree with that, imagine if 7% of every NFL roster that they had to face in the championship game was the greatest player at that position of all time. That makes it a little difficult, don't you think?
A big point here, though, I think that we haven't touched on or been overlooking is the idea that if the best player in the league or the best player at their position, similar to the way that Antonio Brown did, go to the Patriots this year, there would not be this sort of uproar that there was when Kevin Durant went to what was already the best team and a budding dynasty in the NBA. Kevin Durant is someone that I am completely in the belief of. You guys may disagree with this idea, but if there was no LeBron James, we would be talking about Kevin Durant being the best player of all time in basketball. He is on that Jordan tier to me, just with his shooting ability, basketball IQ, his all-around basketball ability. I'm not just saying that because he's on my team, even though I haven't seen him play a second. And that's something that, honestly, I thought going back to the before Golden State days with the way he was able to carry that OKC team. We did see him lose to LeBron directly in a championship prior to all of this, which, like I said, LeBron clearly has a step on KD. But he's a guy that was able to, once you added to this team, bring them to a level that I don't think the Patriots were ever able to eclipse.
David, you've yelled at me before because I said that I thought Kevin Durant was better than LeBron James. You've yelled at me for that before.
I know he's definitely not better than LeBron James. That's not arguable.
And to think that guy joined the best shooter in the history of the NBA, and his partner, who's been nicknamed the Splash Brothers, for how good they are at this one thing that you need to be good at to succeed in the league. You hit everything that I was going to say.
The team was so good that somebody who is also possibly not the best, but he's a top 5, top 3 3-point shooter in the league, Klay Thompson, basically didn't have to play in order for them to win. He could not touch the rock and just play a little bit of defense, and they would still blow the other team out. That's how effective this team was, that they had gas in the tank. They had people that weren't even getting involved because of how good and the level of talent disparity that they had against these guys, to the point that only one player could even bring a team to dream about competing with these guys. When the Pats walked into a football game, anybody could have won that game at the end of the day. And they always pulled it out in the end, whether it be something smart that they did, a good call, something the refs gave them on the end, Belichick outsmarting the other coach, or Brady making the clutch play. But it was always tight. The Warriors, they crushed everyone.
I cannot believe that the sentence that you use is that whenever the Patriots entered a football game, any team could have won on any given Sunday. You actually just use that in an argument. I've been living with Luke for half of this decade, and never, not once, has he even remotely suggested that the team the Patriots are playing had a chance.
That's
Never.
not true.
Not once.
Oh, yeah. When the Jets play them at home.
Play them at MetLife.
No, it's really when the Dolphins play them in Miami.
Yeah.
It's really when the Dolphins play in Miami.
Week in and week out, it was, why do we even bother putting the Patriots on the big TV? Because they're just going to win the football game anyways. So the fact that now you're all of a sudden flipping this as if every Patriots game has been competitive and you guys have been like, oh, we're ready to play the Patriots. Like this is a winnable game. This is the game we're excited for. That is insane to me. No one has ever thought that, and that's because they've been so dominant from 2010 until now. There has never been a point where someone said, the Patriots, this is going to be a good game. The Patriots are an underdog in this game. Ever. From 2010 until right now, no one has ever suggested that.
The saying is any given Sunday.
At some point. Were they not an underdog at any point ever? They were definitely an underdog when they lost to Peyton Manning and the Broncos in the AFC Championship. Because I remember betting that at -3.
The saying is any given Sunday, not any given Tuesday and then Wednesday and then fly to the other coast for Friday. It's not the same. anyone's got a chance to beat the Patriots. It was impossible.
Now, all these Super Bowls the Pats won, too, were also tight games. The 3 years that the Warriors were at full strength and had their core together with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and all those guys healthy. What's that?
And one more thing that we've only brought up once. Those championships are embroidered in scandal. The Deflategate. The tuck rule. We could go on for hours about
the tuck rule. Was all
the tuck rule was pre-2010.
That's the wrong decade. That's the wrong decade.
Pre-2010, Luke.
We could go on for hours. We could go on for hours about how the Patriots are flooded with shady business and how everyone's got an asterisk next to everything the Patriots do. There was no question about what the Warriors did.
Right. And the finals, even when they faced the Cavs, the Warriors, they won in 5 and they swept in the second time, but they played them at full strength. So there wasn't even a team in the league that could beat them on in a consecutive set of games. They played 9 games and lost 1. In the NBA Finals.
All right, so we've done a lot of yelling and screaming so far. David, you got any closing remarks for us?
Yeah, I just like to close out with the fact that I do understand the first 3 years of this decade for the Warriors were anything but stellar. And even the first 5, where they had 2 playoff appearances, you could say were very pedestrian. But the level that they reached in those 5 years and the disparity of talent throughout the rest of their sport and the dominance that they were able to essentially assert over every team, including the best player of all time, who was coupled with Kyrie Irving and held absolutely powerless to these who is on the same tier as Steph Curry, handles-wise. They were held absolutely powerless, and they were unable to compete with these guys. I think that this just really shows that it's not a competition. They were so dominant for this portion of the decade that the decade was theirs.
Patriots were so dominant for the whole decade. This decade was theirs. How about that?
Yeah.
I know it's the most cliche way to rebuttal, but by God, you were scared of them every goddamn year. It's relentless. They made the playoffs every year. 8 championship games, 5 Super Bowls, 3 victories. There's nothing else. There's just nothing else.
Next debate show, we can do the most dominant team of a 5-year span. And you guys can run wild
so easily.
The Warriors run wild. Fortunately, we're talking about a 10-year span. The Patriots had a winning record all 10 years. The Patriots made the playoffs all 10 years. The same cannot be said about the Warriors. The case is closed. 10-year span, that's what a decade is. The Patriots were better in that decade. That's the end of the debate.
And I'll say to you that in that entire 10-year span, football was always the same. The Warriors started, and basketball was not the same sport, man. And right now, you're not looking at the same sport now that the dynasty's behind us. The league is different, all because we watched 3 different forms of basketball in 10 years, all because of one team, baby. There was those Golden State Warriors.
They created the modern super team.
No, the Celtics did. Oh, wait.
That was really the Heat. It was probably really the Heat with
that was
inspired by the Celtics.
That was the big 3, right? That was the big 3?
That's the first big 3. The first big 3 is Boston Celtics. Next debate show.
That was the big 3. You needed 4 if you wanted to go up against the Warriors. But that's all we have to say on the matter. We want to hear what you have to say at home, listening to us spout off about what we think. We want to hear what you think, so be sure to leave a comment, like this video, subscribe to our channel. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. We want to hear what you have to say. We also want your ideas. If you think you have something that we should debate and yell and scream about, we want to hear it because we love doing this. Right, guys?
We do.
I love yelling at you guys.
I echo those points.
So thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this new debate episode that we tried out. We had a lot of fun doing it. And for all of us here at 4 Guys Talking Sports, my name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Axel.
And I'm Lawrence Lograno.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you again next week for regularly scheduled programming. Take care.
Spay and neuter your pets.